quickly before that. In the meantime,
I
while we still have...
I want to ask a couple more questions of Eric before I
Yeah,
go.
for sure.
And then you can get into all this wacky,
100%.
weird, crazy
yeah,
stuff.
We'll take the woo-woo weekend at BurnEye's. But sorry, I'll shut up. Take it away.
No, that was all right. I have a couple more questions for Eric. You said you went and testified down to Arrow, and they brought you in a skiff. Was there anything that you shared with them at Arrow and in that skiff that you haven't shared on any of your other previous interviews that are out there?
I would just. There's one thing that I'm thinking of off the top of my head, mostly because I'm just doing due diligence and researching it to make sure it's accurate information before I present it outwardly.
All right. And again, you just kind of had experiences down there that you saw things that led you to, talk about and speak out and become a whistleblower on these things. But people are commenting about Eric doesn't have any evidence.
I've presented tons of evidence. I don't understand. I have a website that has the evidence on it. So if people haven't seen the evidence after years of me presenting the evidence, it's because of their lack of due diligence. The evidence has been presented many times.
Right. I think one of the first channels you came on before it was my channel back. I remember it was just like a random stream I had.
That's how I first met Eric, was on your channel.
Absolutely. It was because of you, Jeremy. Technically, you had one day just said, you threw it out there. You were like, hey, anybody who wants to join the live stream. I was like, well, let me try this guy out.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And yeah, I'm gonna have to go look into your website. Can you share that with people where they can find your website?
I just posted it in the live chat for everybody right now. It's deciphering.tv. And
yeah, it's been right next to my name the whole time.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just letting people know because it's some people it's just hidden in plain sight. And
and in my archive section is where they can find it, and it's listed under the DOM document. And this is. There you go. It's getting pulled up right now. You go to the archive section, you go to DOM document, and this is literally a page out of the technical transcripts for the Ice Cube neutrino detector. People can go find this themselves at the University of Wisconsin website, which is running the experiment. This is posted public information that anybody can find. I just presented it first, I guess you would say.
Awesome. Again, I'm gonna have to do a big deep dive into this because I've seen it covered on a couple of their channels and stuff, but none of the debunkers are really have done a solid job of proving this one out because
they can't. That's the problem, is that all they do is attack the messenger instead of the message. I would love for people to get into the science and understanding of how this technology functions, because there is no debate to be had. Just like the other gentleman here is pulling up patents for all this stuff. This is Tesla technology. This is beyond standard model physics. And I'm not going to listen to some physicist start screaming to me about the standard model and how this defies the standard model, because I'm going to agree with him and say, yeah, absolutely, it defies the standard model.
Yeah, I know about that and stuff. I just and I hope people don't hate on me for just being a medium for people like you to report this stuff, because this is a board where we do analysis and we give a platform to these types of ideas, because this is we're here to discuss this stuff.
It's essential discourse that needs to happen. It's what's been missing is public discourse, especially.
Yeah,
I've been putting this information out for 3 years at least, and I've yet to have anybody debunk the technology that I've presented. I've only found more corroborating information, and the only people that have attacked anything have been me personally versus my message. They say, what are his motives? Every kind of attack under the sun has been laid at my feet, but not my information that I presented.
Well, that's a good sign. Again, we're just here to evaluate stuff, and if this crazy stuff like this doesn't have a platform to be discussed, then how do you think we're going to get new disclosures of and how do you think we're going to find out about what Manhattan projects are currently going on out there? At the
event that I did with Greer in Washington, D.C., the gentleman that spoke right before me was a physicist, and he was discussing all of the functions and forms of scalar interferometry, all of this stuff. He was basically laying down what people need to understand about this new level of technology. I equate it to, imagine the day before Nikola Tesla handed the world AC electricity, what people's understanding of the world was. And then all of a sudden, the next day, Tesla presents AC electricity. Well, at that point, it's real. It functions. Nobody can really do anything to discount Nikola Tesla's message, but that doesn't mean that they all instantly understood it. So that's where we are right now, is that we've turned the page. We're in a new chapter. There's new technology that everybody needs to start understanding. But just because I put this information out there doesn't mean that they instantaneously understand it. So we need folks like you, these guys that are at the forefront of peculiar technologies, to start understand what I'm saying, I would suggest, and start disseminating it to the world in a way that they can understand it. Because in reality, it's not my job to do all of these things.
Right. And it's not my job to look at every single crazy thing out there either.
I get it.
So I thank you for your time, and thanks everyone who's watching, and I hope we all
Much
at least
love,
learned.
Jeremy, Alien Scientist, brother. This was absolutely epic. Do you want me to cut the stream on your channel here, and we'll keep going for a little bit? I guess Mike's having issues with his mic, but
nope, I got it fixed.
Oh, you got it fixed. Welcome. Okay.
Yep.
If you can quickly do a demo of the black light thing and give a quick explanation of where you've accumulated it, what you've got with it, and the aging of it all. As alien scientist, what better to study than alien artifacts? Possible alien.
Yeah, it's pretty bizarre. It's daytime, so the UV is only going to be partial, but you'll see here.
Whoa!
It lights
that's
up
cool.
Real great. A lot of this stuff is inlaid very intricately with substances that it varies from a dust to like this piece here is like a rock that they've inlaid in there that glows. I mean, when you take a sample of it, it requires extreme force to get it out of there.
Oh man, that is a great idea. I should have built that into the electric magic wand. That would have made it look way cooler.
Yeah, so this stuff all comes from different places in Mexico. The stuff I'm showing right now is from Tula Hidalgo, and which is a place where the pyramid of Quetzalcoatl is, the Atlantean guardians. We found a lot of different things, skulls and bones, as well as pieces, functional and ritualistic crystal skulls, crazy telescopes. They all have, this glow about them. And what's interesting too is that there's a whole nother area 800 miles away called Abuelos de Jalisco, and these type of pieces are turning up there. It's a completely different style of art. You can see, for instance, this piece is a mosaic cylinder of hundreds of different stones all glued together. That red substance that you see in between all these stones is the adhesive that they're using, and this has organic material in it, which is great for carbon dating. So approximately 50 or so pieces have been carbon dated that I know of from different scientists and people like Nassim Harriman, Klaus Dona, Scott Woltard did an American Unearthed about it, and they're all coming up with consistent dates around 10 to 15,000 years old. And then over here to Tula is the same thing. Between 8 and 15,000 years old is the average dating. And unfortunately, I don't have DNA and bone related testing on the carbon-14. All we have is adhesive and resin from a pipe, as well as ceramic pieces through thermoluminescence. The thermoluminescence does add up with the carbon-14, so that's a pretty good attenuation, as well as the resin from a pipe. And so currently there's a documentary from Gen 6 Productions that's going to come out here in the next few days, actually, that highlights all of this being dug up. A lot of these pieces will be featured on there, and you'll see, firsthand, start to finish, the holes that they dug, how they found it with georadar, and whereabouts they're digging and finding these pieces. These statues here come from a lake down south called or it's in the Lake Quetzal or the Michoacan area. And what's interesting is, all these places have these unique depictions. However, the story is all the same. It's all, Anubis and Ra and these aliens, or these gray looking beings. What's interesting is there's these angels all over on these pieces, or angelic looking beings flying around.
There, a lot of people want you to light that up too. You're getting a lot of comments about
Say
those
that
skulls. A lot of people want you to light up those skulls to see.
Say that again.
Like. Can you light up the skull with your light?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you're going to see very well. Oh yeah, you'll see a little bit on there at least. At nighttime, I mean, it looks.
And
it
to
looks
catch
incredible.
that during the day, that is crazy illumination. Like, that's fascinating.
It is fascinating. It's absolutely crazy. Some of the stuff here, I'll show you this whistle. The craftsmanship that goes into something like this. I mean, this is a solid piece of stone here, and it has the eyes here are the whistle part. So I'm gonna set you guys here, and I'll play this whistle for you.
This I've got.
It is absolutely enchanting.
Wow.
That is nuts.
Right? I mean, 40 pounds.
The harmonics on that are awesome.
Man, are they ever.
Yeah, I've sampled it. I'm a musician. I do analog synthesis, and so I've been playing with the tones. It lines up perfect in tone. What's interesting is the scale that it lines up to is the solfeggio scale, which is,
really
correct for the age.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You just blew my mind with that one.
And we've got multiple whistles that we've tested this on. All these are whistles here. Let's see.
The solfeggios are potential healing frequencies from the research we've been looking at. Eric, while we have you and the potential spaceport that is at Antarctica, was there any evidence of people with extra cranial mass or hiding elongated skulls down there?
Negative.
Negative?
It looks like their sound was an integral part of their art at that time.
Yeah, frequency is shown. In fact, if you look at this piece here, it's really interesting. It's like it almost reminds me of the Stargate off of Contact or something like that. This all moves inside of here. It's pinned together with a pin design. A flower of life is depicted on the base of it.
I cannot believe the size of the collection.
It's been a rabbit hole. I'm telling you what.
I don't even want to know how much that would cost. Well, actually, I do want to know.
I've invested about $500,000 total between pieces and research and putting everything together.
Oh, I'm going to talk to you about what you do for a living. Damn.
Yeah, I own a hemp company up here in Washington, cannabis and hemp company. So money grows on trees for me.
Amazing.
Not really. It's much more difficult than it sounds, but yeah, it's. They always told me that wasn't possible,
I do monoatomics and making colloidal waters in structured water. So we will have to talk about that at a later time. And so it's like, that's why the government claims all of these are fakes and frauds, because if they are legitimate, it completely rewrites history. It connects.
That's why they don't come and see me.
It makes Mesoamerica potentially the parent of Egypt, Sumeria, Babylonia, and so forth.
Yep, justifies the flood and all these things.
That's like a Sumerian or Babylonian star map right there.
Yeah, they're called an astrolabe, and what's super interesting is this piece here was found with that, and it has quite advanced writing on it. I mean, this isn't just some symbols scribbled on here, and the way that these pieces are made. Like they're charting the sky or something. What's interesting too is you can plug these into a supercomputer and it'll tell you the age. They were able to prove the age there of some of them in Samaria to like 5,000 years ago. What's interesting too is in Saudi Arabia they found a lens, a fluorite lens that has magnification. It's like the oldest microscope that they found, about 5,000 years old. But this piece of fluorite in this what looks to be like some sort of scope of, I mean, it's the same looking piece of fluorite in there.
Potential microscope, telescope, ancient lenses.
Crazy they would use fluorite though, you know, because that's what we use in telescopes today. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Like some of these are pictures I've taken of the pieces, like macro photography, and you can see the original here, you know, blown up massively. But it's interesting to study the intricacy and you know, like this chessboard here was only about 7 inches long.
To get you. It's like if you can get some samples like chipped off of the adhesive and like the glow in the dark glue goo solidified stuff to send in, if we can track down a reliable lab or person with equipment for you.
If you can find a lab, I will donate anything and everything you could ever imagine. Like I've got capital, I've got all the pieces, I've got multiple, I've got PhDs ready to go. I had Scott Woltar and Linda Moulton Howe, JJ Hertog, all these people. I've reached out to them. Scott said he would go ahead and get me lab testing. I sent him this bone skull right here on the left, and it's got the same carvings as those star maps, same way it's put into the top of it, and it glows as well. And yeah, he said no problem, we'll get DNA testing. And yeah, he just sent it back. I just received it yesterday. He cannot get the testing done. The lab told him no. He sent off the specimens. So I've got the samples literally all taken by Scott Woltard, labeled in baggies, ready to send. We just need a lab. It's easier said than done, though. There's definitely a brick wall in the research of this topic. I've been blown away. I thought it was just me. That's why I reached out to Scott and these other, you know, people with TV shows and degrees and things of that nature, thinking that it would be easy for them to, you know, run with this and publicize it, whatever they wanted to do. I just wanted to know the truth. And yeah.
Well, if this was proven to be real, then it would change history as we know it. It would definitely not go with their narrative. That is some amazing.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm just blown away. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and it really goes deep. I mean, if you look at the Egyptian lineage of the pharaohs, you know, Osiris was his parents were angelic or primordial, and so it goes along with the Enki Enlil story, and that the pharaoh is actually a descendant of you know, a hybrid being. Osiris was depicted with green skin. Akhenaten had elongated head. Nefertiti had elongated head. And, you know, you look at that story of Akhenaten, how he changed things to monotheism and kind of got rejected and then maybe killed. And then Tut stepped in and changed everything back and then was also hurt or killed in an accident, you know. I believe that Moses was Akhenaten, and that's the reason he disappeared from Egypt, why there's no tomb. And that's how he lived to be so old, and how he parted the Red Sea, how he emballed all the knowledge of Egypt that the Bible says he you know, endowed when he crossed the Red Sea. All that would make sense if he was in, you know, part angel hybrid bloodline of a pharaoh. And that Ark of the Covenant that he took, what's interesting about it is the dimensions and what it did to people, you know, handling it. They had to wear special clothes, all these things. It fits in the king's chamber box perfectly, measurement-wise. And that box there in the king's chamber, they say it's a sarcophagus, but there was no lid and no body, and it's not the right shape or size. And so maybe that's you know, something that activated the pyramids, because on a lot of these pieces it shows just that, the activation of these pyramids doing something more than what we know.
I would have to agree with you on that when it comes to the, maybe not the Ark of the Covenant. It could have been the Ark of Gabriel. There was a few arks that were built back then, but there was definitely one of them